This is where we are. See all of this?
Yes.
Absolute nonsense. Okay? But you can put as many as you want. And that's what it's going to explain to you.
And there's also a fast way to turn off all.
So when you put all 6, look how much of that screen you're wasting. Okay? But you customize it to whatever you want. You don't need all of this stuff. Eclipse has functions that you're going to be able to do all of this stuff. Okay, so you don't need all of this stuff. If you want it on there, help yourself. This is what you're going to be editing with right here. Good luck. Okay, so when you're having to go to the optometrist and your glasses are about that thick because you're looking at a screen that's about that size, let me know how that works out. Okay, you don't need it. Is the point that I'm making. Okay.
The toolbars if you want to make a little extra space.
So if you want to turn them all off and you want to take all of them off, that's all you do. All off. Okay? What I would suggest, you do what you want. You can mess with it however you want. Usually just one. Okay?
Speed key for turn off all toolbars is Shift Control F2.
So Shift Control F2 turns everything off. Okay? Takes all the icons off. Shift Control F3 opens it. Opens the toolbar manager or whatever, and then you can kind of mess with the toolbars as you want.
The View Toggles dialog is also where you control the appearance of the info bar.
Info bar, very important, okay? You have a lot of stuff. Auto magic keys, use numbers, hotkeys, pop up, okay? So this is what you need to go into to fix these things whenever we get to it. So you just need to remember what to go into, okay?
This is the display column at the left edge of the Eclipse screen.
That's what you're talking about right here. That's the info bar, okay? So when you click the info bar, this thing comes up. So now you just helped yourself to create shortcuts. Okay, so get into settings, Alt U, and see it already tells you what the speed keys little are. So if you want to translate notes, we already went through that. It was Alt T. Read in notes, Alt I. Go to your settings, Alt U. Open your dictionary, F9. File management, Control F. This is very important, and you need that info bar on. Okay.
Here is where automagic choices appear most typically. So as you move your cursor from word to word, Eclipse offers you the most likely editing choices.
Very important right there too. And you're not going to understand until we get to that lesson, but you're going to want that one checked. And once we get to it, they're probably going to mention it again. I think they do mention it again, okay? That we're going to need that automagic button checked, okay?
So info bar is always checked.
It should be. It should be.
Can, however, also display automagic choices in a small pop-up window. We'll show that in a separate visualizer. Also, the visualizer that is specifically about the info bar will show you how there you can see translation statistics in real time, as well as an audio indicator and auto-brief suggestions to make it easier to write.
Do you understand that? You're probably not going to understand it as well. But what this little thing does is when you check these 3, it brings up a little box over here when you're doing real time. And it tells you how many words a minute you're doing, how many untranslates you have, how many conflicts you have. It's pretty neat, but it's just another thing that's on your screen.
So I have a question about that little box. Because I noticed that when I'm writing at home,
Yeah.
and if I'm studying or practicing, if let's say I was writing rental properties, if I would just hit the REN, rental properties, the whole thing come up after I've written it several times. The computer automatically translates it. But if I go back the next day, I have to type out rental properties again because it didn't remember.
Because you probably just globaled it for that job.
Okay.
You didn't put it in your main dictionary.
Okay.
And we're going to go through that too. So there's different ways of doing that for translating for a job, translating for main dictionary and stuff like that. So a trash dictionary, and we're going to go through that.
So
And
it basically just picks up, if you're constantly doing the same stroke over and over again, it automatically pick it up for that one specific job.
well, Yeah, but if you're doing Krzyzewski, then you want it to come up every time.
Right.
But you don't want it to go into your main dictionary, so there's a way of putting it into a job dictionary, which is what you want, okay? But that's what this thing, it's not gonna tell you that. That was a totally different question. But this is gonna tell you translation stats, auto briefs, and the wave display. So your little doohickey will be moving and it'll tell you that it's taking down the wave file.
And to switch from dictionary to dictionary, how do you do that? The Alt-T?
To switch from dictionary.
Like from a main dictionary to a job dictionary?
Your main is always gonna be in there.
It's always
Your main is always gonna be in there. But if you wanna add a job dictionary to it, then you're gonna wanna do it during translation, okay? That's the only time that you can do it, is during translation, okay?
So do you suggest clicking the bottom three right now, or wait?
It's something that you're gonna have to mess with and see if you like it. I don't like it. And really all it does is tells you how many words a minute you're writing, how many untranslates you have, whatever. It's actually kind of cool. It's kind of cool. I mean, because like I've been in court and I mean they'll be fine and I'm just, you're not paying attention. I mean, you're just writing, trying to get it down, trying to pay attention, hit your speaker identifications, get everything down, and I've looked up and it says 300 words a minute. Whether I was doing 300, maybe, but I mean not for a sustained amount of time. I wasn't doing 300 for 45 minutes. There's no way. I don't think. I mean, I probably could, but my hands may fall completely off, or they'll be throwing gang signs after that thing, and I'm not meaning it to, so fingers are going to be a little jacked up. But, I mean, it's pretty neat. So it tells you how fast you're going. So it's actually kind of a cool little thing. So if you want to do it, great. If you want to mess around with it, kind of see if you like it, don't like it, that's how you do it. Turn it on and off. Okay? Any questions about that? No?
Yep, shift control F3, right? Control shift F3 gets the view toggle bar.
Get to the view toggle bar. Okay? I'm gonna see if it let's see what this thing is.
Let's see how to read notes and manage steno.
And that's what it's gonna look like, guys. I'm not gonna go through and show this whole video again because I explained it to you guys already. If you wanna see the video, I mean, we can, but we're gonna waste about 30 more minutes watching 3 videos that we probably don't need to. But if you want to, we can. So I'm gonna go through each one of the little videos and just kind of show you the highlights. This is what it looks like right here, when I was explaining it to you. So when you read that little SD card in, that's what it's gonna look like. File number, blah, 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 the size, mine are a little bit bigger than that. If you didn't write very much, maybe about an hour, it's probably gonna be about 66K. Or maybe 20, 30 minutes, something like that. It's gonna be 66K. Then it tells you the date, and then it tells you the time. So it tells you in military time, okay? So, what's that, 8? 8:26, whatever. But I mean, it tells you in military time, so you know that it was in the afternoon, okay? So that's all that is.
Settings, input. The read method needs to be correct for settings, input. The read method needs to be correct for your writer. On some older writers, you may be reading notes through a cable rather than a disk drive.
And all this is doing is just kind of going through and telling you how to hook up your real time. You should already know that by now, okay? So this is all your COM ports, all of that stuff, and it should already be figured out to whatever driver you have, whatever, right? You guys are already hooked up. Everyone's hooked up, right?
Right.
Okay.
The cable would be connected to a COM port, so you'd need to check inserted in drive A. But the newest icon, or use the production menu or speed key Alt-I for input. Here's the read notes.
And that's what it does. It gives you a little preview of the notes, okay? So you have to be really careful when you first get that machine because somebody, and I won't mention any names, didn't, okay? So my date was wrong, so So if you didn't know who it was, I just kind of told you who it was. So my date was wrong and whatever. So it was 1 day behind. Okay? So I have attorneys calling me and they're like, hey man, I need that that hearing that was taken Monday the 4th. I don't have a Monday the 4th. I have a 5th. Was the 5th Monday? No, it was Tuesday. Or maybe I didn't work that day. It was in 2014, so that was 2 years ago. Maybe I wasn't here. Go back in my log. I was here that day. So it's like, man, that's not matching up. I don't know why it was wrong. So I go back to the 5th, and it was the 4th. But on my machine, it said the wrong date. So it's going to put the date that you put it to. So if you put the wrong date, you have to be careful, because then you're not going to know where those notes are. Okay? So you have to be real careful about that. But that's all it's telling you right there. And then it kind of gives you a preview of the notes. Okay?
Dialog. Give your note file the name that you want the job to have. If you like.
So you can come through here and it gives you the opportunity to name the job too. So if you're taking a deposition and it's Emily Hernandez, then you know it's Emily Hernandez and you can go ahead and name it. Well, mine has 15 different names. So I'm not going to name it Emily Hernandez. I'm going to name it 42506. Okay? That's what I'm naming mine. You can name it whatever you want. You want to go through and name it Emily Hernandez, and you've got 15 other cases on there, probably not very smart. You do whatever you want. I'm telling you not to. So if you do it like me, and you're doing it on a docket basis, then you don't want to name it Joan Green, because they asked you to do the Joan Green case, but Joan Green was the 17th case out of 20. Probably not very smart, but whatever. So you kind of do whatever you want. You can name it whatever you want.
To scope notes before the job translates, Eclipse can automatically open the note file for you after reading in your steno. As for the New Source button, it's handy when you have additional notes to read from a different source than the one you usually use. Here I'll use the Note Preview window.
So you can select these different things, and you can go through here and it's like, well, I don't know if that was it or not. I need to go through and check. Oh yeah, it was it. This was the one that I needed. Okay? So you can go through there and kind of check your notes. It only goes so far. It doesn't do the whole job. So it only goes so far in that job, in the beginning of the job. But if you want to check your notes and say, I don't know if this one was, oh yeah, it is. It is. Then you can go through there and check the notes. Okay?
And read in the notes. Then press OK to close this dialog.
So once you read in the notes, it's going to tell you how big it is. That was 16,901 strokes. Okay? So that tells you how big, the job is or whatever. It doesn't really tell you how many pages it is. It just tells you how many strokes it took. So that's all it does.
Here's my steno, and here are two sets of time codes, although not significant in this non-real-time example. Let me now right-click to see what my options are. What's translate mode? Translate mode simply gives me a preview of how my steno will translate against my dictionaries.
You get that? So if you want to see how it translated to your dictionary, you can right-click on your notes. Whatever. You want to
see what my options.
All it's doing right here is it's giving you the notes. Okay? Your strokes in steno. But if you want to see how it's going to tran out, then you can right-click on it and it'll show you.
What's translate mode? Translate mode simply gives me a preview of how my steno will translate. Translate mode simply gives me a preview of how my steno. Example. Let me now right-click to see what my options are. What's translate mode?
So you can open this thing, go into translate mode, and then all it's going to do is show you how it's going to match up to your dictionary. That's all it's going to do. Okay? Oops. Any questions about that?
No.
Y'all tired?
No.
Good, then we'll stay till 9:30.
Yes.
Which one is it?
Yes.
We're almost done.
Let's take a quick look at Total Eclipse translation options. You can get to the Translate Notes dialog by clicking on a toolbar icon or Alt-T. Use the Note.
And this is what I was talking about. I'm kind of skipping over some of this stuff because we don't need to go through it. It's an Alt-T or translation icon, okay? So once it brings you to that, you go into the notes.
Button to select a steno file that you have already brought in from your writing machine. By default,
See what it does? So it tells you what note file you want. So you've already named it. So if I wanted the February the 14th, then I have the 2416 right here. It says 2416 right here. That tells you it's the notes, and then that tells you it's the Eclipse file. Okay? Got it?
the system will presume that you want the text file to have the same name. But you can certainly give your text file any name you want. There are two non-real-time translation modes. So for files that you've already written and brought into your computer, you could say that you want to edit while the translator works in the background. If you select Quick Tran, you will not be able to begin editing until your complete file has translated.
I already told you guys that on the Quick Tran. It's not going to allow you to work in the job. All it's going to do is translate it. Okay?
But the system will be able to translate faster because the editor does not have to share the computer's processing power with the...
Remember what I told you about it does it quicker because it's not slowing it down by translating while editing while it's translating. Okay?
Translator. After translation.
So after translation, this is what it's going to give you. You have this many translated entries, 10,000 entries. Okay? Now your untranslates are 245, which tells you compared to that is 2.41%. So it just gives you a percentage. Not that big of a deal. How many conflicts you have, selected total, and then how many pages it is. So really this is what you're really worried about right here. Is how many pages it's probably going to be. Okay?
Is finished. This statistics dialog will open. You can press the Enter key to close the dialog and begin editing your document.
Pretty simple. Any questions? Awesome.
There are several ways to start and stop real-time translation. If you prefer speed keys, you can use Alt-T to start and Shift Alt-T to stop. But you can also use instant real-time to start, and you can also click on the close button of your translating window to stop. The Translate Notes dialog, which you can access through the speed key Alt-T, offers many options. Here you could select the dictionaries that you want.
That's what I was telling you about. Okay, so if you're in real time, you can go into Alt-T, it brings up this box. Now it allows you to put a dictionary in. So if you've already tranned that job, you've already edited it, you've created a dictionary for it, now you're coming back the next day or a week later, well, you know what? We're going to do depositions on that FinFin case. So all of my briefs that I had for the FinFin case are in this FinFin dictionary. So you can select that dictionary and be doing it in real time, and it's already coming up. Okay? And that's what it's telling you.
Want to use just for this translation, or you could go to your user settings to make a selection of dictionaries that will be remembered. Here is where you would indicate that you want to use a master job dictionary for large cases. This is the subject of a separate presentation in the dictionaries section of visualizers.
And that's what I told you. Okay? So your main is always going to come up, no matter what. Your main is always going to come up when you're going to translate that job. And then you're able to select different job dictionaries. Okay?
In this example, you see I'm setting up for real-time translation, and I want to record an audio file that will be synchronized with my real-time text.
Y'all get that? Your student version doesn't allow you to do that. But the reporter version, unbelievable. Awesome. Okay? They have a WAV file now, so when you record on the WAV file, what it does is you can be in the middle of a sentence, you put your cursor right there, you do Alt-J, Alt-J, and it starts the recording right there. Guys, when I started, we were doing it on cassettes. Do I even know what cassettes are? Do you? A cassette. So we were doing it on a dictaphone. You guys know what a dictaphone is? It's a little recorder that plays that machine, and you have a foot pedal that does play, rewind, play, rewind. So I had to fast forward or rewind to try to find Emily Hernandez, which was the 17th case out of 20, and where it started. Ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. So you guys are coming into a different age where technology is so far ahead, okay? So now the WAV files start picking up wherever you put your cursor. You put your cursor right there, you push play, and it starts playing right there.
And
You know
all
what?
it does is record, right? It doesn't translate or anything for you.
No, it won't translate for you. No, it's just playing a recording. So all it is a WAV file, okay? And then you can stop it, insert stuff, start it again, and wherever you put your cursor, that's where it's going to pick up. But that's what it's doing right there when you push record on real time.
I press the OK button. I'll be asked to give the file a name. With real-time translation, I can see and
This is the bar that I was talking about when you asked, Bree. That's what it is. How many entries? You have the audio on, so you see this thing jumping. If that thing's not jumping, it's not recording, okay? So you usually have to have a little external mic that's on there that hooks up to your machine that starts recording, and it records onto that SD card onto a WAV file, okay? But that's the little box that we were talking about. That's that status box, okay? Y'all remember? Okay? So it tells you how many words per minute you're going. It doesn't have anything right there, but I mean, it'll tell you right there how fast you were going, how many untranslates you have, how many conflicts, and your artificial intelligence is on, and how many times it's been selected. Okay?
edit what I'm writing. Read back is much easier, plus I can be recording a synchronized audio file to accompany my transcription. I'm also displaying the real-time statistics dot.
See, it tells you right there, 125 words a minute. Okay? So it's actually pretty cool, and you can, you know, put your little arrow right there, left click, and you can click and drag it up here so it's not in the middle of your job. Okay? You don't want it in the middle of your job. You usually want it up here to the side or down here below, you know, if you just kind of want to see how you're doing that day. So it's up to you.
Dialogue. Not only does it include an audio level indicator to let me know if I'm getting a good sound recording, it includes a speedometer showing me the number of words per minute that I'm currently writing and the number of words per minute that I've been writing since translation began.
Got it?
Yep.
Okay, we'll go on to the next section. No, we're done for today. Do y'all have any questions about what we just covered?
Are you going to give us examples for us that will be in real time? Like on how to open up jobs and dictionaries? Or is that it for everybody?
Maybe we just go home and play with our own practice files. Do we do that?
No, you can leave it on. No, I just showed you, so that's how you do it. You're not going to need it in school. The thing about it is you're not going to need it in school. So you're not going to have a job dictionary in school. So, I mean, you can mess around with it or whatever, but, I mean, you're not going to need it here. Okay? Any other questions about what we covered? Guys, we covered a lot of material tonight. A lot. A little bit more than I usually like to. So, what I need you to do is mess with this stuff this week. All of this week, all of next week, and then when we come back, you know, if you've messed with it, you have some questions about it, then we can talk about it then at the beginning of class, and then we're going to start going into the next one. Guys, The only way that you're gonna learn this stuff is by messing with it. If you don't mess with it, you're gonna forget it. And then it's gone. Then you're gonna have to go back and redo that lesson again. It's like, oh, how do I get in there and put that little status bar? I wanna see how many words per minute. And you don't do it, you're not gonna remember. Same thing with the icons, you know, setting, you know, on your toggles for your little icons, okay? Got it?
Got it.
Any questions? All right, see y'all next week. Turn it off.
Next week or the following?
The following.